Okay, final answer is
Infinity.
infinity. Why? Who wins? They tie. Wait, he has a what?
Square root.
He has a square root. Top wins. Plug in infinity and say that's a positive, positive infinity. Number next one.
30.
30. Oh, he's up here somewhere. Final answer? 0. Okay. What's the degree? Remember the -1 doesn't matter much if you go to infinity. What's the degree here? X squared. Square root of x to the 4th is x squared. Bottom wins. 0. Number next one. 36. Long story short, 1. Now this one's hard. So wait, think through with me. Cosine. How high, how low?
Very.
How high, how low does cosine go?
1.
1 and -1. Not very high, right? Think about x. Where's he going? Who wins? X or little baby cosine?
X.
X wins. He's stronger. As we go to infinity, cosine's doing his little baby thing, and here's x who's way up here. Now x squared is even faster, and e to the x is even faster, but x, cosine. Who's higher degreed as I go to infinity? This one. Compare. The highest degrees, they tie. Ratio leading coefficients is 1. Carla.
When do you know when you can apply that rule? Because it didn't work for every single question.
Do you have any idea one that it didn't work on?
I just never used it in general.
What's the squeeze theorem?
Squeeze theorem basically says cosine goes between -1 and 1. So if these limits to infinity are 0, then his limit to infinity is 0 also. What I explained always does work, Carla, but sometimes it's funny, especially something with an e to the power of or a number to the power of. And I think we had one in homework we'll see soon.
Because I know that you had to work through it in order to get to the answer, but then I was noticing it as just I'm oh, it's positive. So then.
So generally, okay. I think in notes I said, unless there's a square root or an absolute value, take the ratio of the leading coefficients and you're done. This was hard because it was who is winning? Who's stronger? And then I did the little cosine doesn't go very high and x can go super high. So x won. So he's the highest degree of the top. There is a way of algebraically showing it with the squeeze theorem, but you don't necessarily need to be able to do that. Lucy.
I think an example of what she's saying was 25, but you just said that that's the square root of the denominator. Is that why we couldn't really apply the rule and we have to plug in infinity?
You could apply the rule in the sense of, you guys are looking at the odd 25, right? Who wins, top, bottom, or tie? Tie. Remember, as we go to infinity, we ask ourselves which one is stronger. This one is stronger, so we're literally just looking at him as we go to the infinity. It's technically called an end behavior model, blah, blah, blah. Square root of x squared is x. What's the ratio of leading coefficients? 1 over root 1 is 1. But in notes, I said check the sign. If there's a square root, why? Plugging in negative infinity here gets me what sign? Negative. Over, plug in negative infinity here, that's a positive. Square rooted is still a positive. What's a negative over a positive? A negative. So there's one quick exception for when they tie and there's a square root or an absolute value. I say double check this sign by imagining by plugging in.
So basically you didn't have to do what the book said, how it said grab the biggest denominator
And do 1 over top and bottom. That is a technique. That's technically probably the most mathematical way to go. But we're preparing for an AP where we have to go fast. So if the shortcut makes sense, use it by all means. Is that cool? Anybody else have that same question or had that same question? It's a funny one, right? But if you visualize plugging in, check the sign like the notes say whenever you have a square root or absolute value. We were on number 44 is where we're going. I don't know what that is. This is the problem, right? There was a mistake. Who wins, top, bottom, or the tie? Ratio of the leading coefficient. 4 over, who's his coefficient? 1 square rooted, final answer 4. Technically check the sign. But plugging in a positive up top, positive. Plugging in a positive down bottom, positive. Positive 4. Ratio leading coefficients, will keep working if it's getting confusing.
48.
48? He's right there. Now he was a funny one because they didn't tell me whether I had to go to infinity or negative infinity. They just said horizontal asymptote, which could be either direction. I think it said check with the graph or something like that. On the graph, hopefully you saw there were 2 different horizontal asymptotes. But how does the function tell me that? If I was to go to positive infinity, and Carla, this might help a little bit just because it shows you both, because we're supposed to think about both. Both of them, hopefully, we can conclude are ties. Why? Square root of a squared. If this 2 wasn't there, and as I go to infinity, he's basically negligible. He doesn't really make much of a difference. What would the top be if I square rooted that? 3x. Technically, it could be a plus or minus x. Hence the dilemma with the signs. But 3x and 2x, hey, they tie. So I know that it's going to be 3 halves, but I have to check the sign. Is it positive or negative? It's not both. Then coming down here, as I go to negative infinity, it's also a tie. So I can take the square root of 9, which is 3, over 2, but I have to ask the question positive or negative. Now, visualize for the top one. Plugging in 9 times positive infinity squared minus 2. What kind of number is that? Positive. There's nothing to make it negative. The 2's not strong enough, so he's a positive. Over 2 times positive infinity plus 1. Positive. So a positive over a positive? Positive 3 halves is 1, is the limit as I go to infinity of my function. And if I do the bottom one, 9 times negative infinity squared minus 2. A negative squared is a positive. 2 doesn't make much of a difference as I go to infinity. This one wins. The top is a positive, but what's going on down below? Uh-oh. This one's going to win. So I have a positive over a negative, which is a? Got it. So that's how I can visualize the sign. Does that make a little more sense for those of you that were like, Let's make sure we're all focused. Our spiral should be open. We should be checking. Number next one, where are we going? Now guys, on this one, just a heads up. 2 years ago, towards the end of the year, a sample AP, it wasn't even their final, it was a different sample AP. Over half the class missed a problem just like this. So it's not an easy problem, there being 2 answers. But it's something I hope we can understand at this point, and we'll review later too. Does that kind of make sense? It's a little tricky, all right? This is a little tricky. But if we can get it now, we'll show their scores up. Okay, although they did really well. So they just needed to learn this is a problem at the end of the year. Were there any odds? I know we have a test tomorrow. Were there any particular odds that we really want to see? I can't do all of them, but if we have a few, let's make sure phones are put away. I was told by Mr. Kim today to take any that I see being used. Slice mine, put it away.
3.
Odds.
3.
Any of the 50s.
Any of the 50s? 53, 55, something? Okay, let's go to 53, 55, something.
51, 53, 54.
Oh yeah, they asked about that in period 1 also. Okay. I have not, in my experience, seen any AP questions like 51 or 53. Which means I'm not going to test on it tomorrow. But I still wanted you to see the idea. Just symbolize going forever. forever negative, forever positive, but it doesn't symbolize how fast. So there are different degrees of infinity. Infinity squared is bigger than infinity to the first power, etc. In this case, you might think, hey, the constant is negligible, so they are going to cancel out because it's like a first degree, but negative plus a first degree positive. Okay, maybe you could make that argument. Mathematically, though, the only way we can know for sure is to make it a fraction, and they do it by multiplying by the conjugate to get a fraction. Now I can do degree tests. For sure the answer is 0. For sure, for sure. But 53, ha ha ha, very funny. 53, I could do the exact same thing, and I would get negative infinity plus positive infinity is 0. Ooh, no it's not. We can't say that. And some of you are like, well, the x is stronger than the constant. Whatever, how would you get the right answer? Multiply by the conjugate, make it a fraction, test it, and say, and then go through the algebraic process of breaking it down to get the 1/6. This is where the algebraic process would be necessary, but as far as I've seen, the AP nor I test you on one so difficult. Kind of makes sense? Okay. So, good question. Great question. I just wanted to show you, is infinity minus infinity or negative infinity plus infinity 0? Not always. Mind blown. All right. Hold on. Close current time. Did any of you guys see? Hold on. Give everybody a group of high fives. Some people are tapping out. Give them high fives. Come on, give them high fives. They need it. There's a test tomorrow. Everybody in your group, get them all. Get them all. Get them all. Get them all. Okay. Come back in.
Wake up, class.
Let's talk about the test. Okay? Let's start with logistics, then we'll narrow our way down to basically practice problems till the end of class, real fast. Tomorrow, we have all of class period, but some of you are like, oh, I wish we had longer. Math tests always take me forever. You can come in 15 minutes before the end of lunch and I'll pass out tests to whoever's in here, with their notes turned in, their spiral turned in, and their calculator not on their desk with a pencil and a piece of paper. Listen, wait, I'll talk about that logistic in a second as well. Anybody in here 15 minutes before, which would be at 12:45-ish. You can start early and have 15 extra minutes. Sound good? Yeah. If you want to bring food in and be eating it, as long as you don't spill it all over your test, I won't mind. Cool? Okay. Logistic number 2. Spirals? What? Aren't they due the day after the test?
Yeah.
If you've been banking on that, this time only, I will take it day after the test, which is on Monday, because some of you had me last year. And you're like, wait, I thought, but listen carefully. With our spirals, if I collect it the day after to grade, what will you no longer have to do homework the day after? Oh. But if we turn it in the day of, what do you have that night for homework?
Nothing.
Oh, good day, right? So we'll stay on top of things and we'll have a nice night of rest after a test. Hey! Now hold on. If you have been banking on this chapter though, since I didn't announce it early, I will still take it on Monday. But anybody please that has it ready tomorrow, please turn it in to make my life and your life better too. But I am still collecting notes like always, have the table of contents up to date and ready to go. Sound good? Okay. Third thing. Wait! But there's this huge review that got tacked on. I can't do it all by tomorrow. Read the back board. The test review is bonus. I'm not promising every time, but it is this time. However much you do is however much bonus you get, up to +5, and just because it's the first test and it's calculated on the test, not just the homework calculator. Now, some of you are like, oh, but there are some evens. Wait. There are some evens. We're not going to be able to know what the answers are. But what did I already compile for you of all the problems from the chapter? Now, if you're really dumb, you're like, I can copy it and get 3 points. But you won't be able to do anything else on the test. So let's not do that. Let's actually think through and use this to check. And some of you are like, oh, but this is saved in notes, and I have to scroll to the very end to get there. Yes, that's true. That's one way. You can also go in your shared folder. Chris, ooh, it's right now. Sorry, buddy. I'm video recording our review problems that we're doing. I've also saved this under shared folder. It's not a homework sheet. It's not notes. It's in handouts under keys because it's a key for chapter 1 review. It's there as well, or you can find it under chapter 1 notes if you scroll. These are all the answers, evens, and odds. Noah, go ahead.
What if you're very confident? Then can we copy the answers?
No. Okay, so keep your effort. Copying is not maintaining integrity. So what on earth are we going to do for class if I have all this other stuff available? We are going to turn into our composition books. We're going to turn into our composition books. Wait, where's the test review due if you want to do it? Obviously, it's the next page in your spiral, right? Or the next place in your spiral. If you choose to do it, that's where it's going to be. When you turn in your spiral is when I will check the test review bonus. Once again, please, tomorrow is test day. You want to have as much practice as possible. If it's ready, turn it in tomorrow. Don't everyone wait till Monday. Some of you are organized and on top of things. We're going to go in our composition books. And we're going to do as many problems as we can. Technically, period 1, I let them have a choice if they wanted to get a whiteboard and a marker or if they wanted to write in their composition book. We have about three fewer minutes, so I just want to go for practice. Sound good? So what's this practice I'm about to show you? At the end of your chapter, listen, at the end of your chapter, there's chapter 1 review exercises, and it goes to like number 90 or 100 or something. That's what the review homework is from. There's one part after that that says AP practice questions. They're just nice multiple choicers. That's what we're going to practice with right now. Sound good? They're all good practice. This is not your homework. This is what we're going to try and do in class. Cool? In your composition book. You don't have to put it in your table of contents. It's just like the end of the little review we're tacking on. I want you guys to try as best you can to answer 1, 2, and 3. And if you have extra time, collaborate with your group and check your answers. Ready, set, go. You don't have to write questions, just like you don't have to write questions or directions in your reviews, right? Nice. No questions or directions. You don't have to write that in your review homework. That's only for regular homework. So just try to answer them. Are you telling me answer or not? Wait, everyone focus. Just try to get an answer. Pretend it's the first question tomorrow. Probably not, but it's similar. It's similar. Talk it out in your groups for 60 seconds if you haven't yet. Whatever answers you were able to get, whatever you were able to start talking. You might not have gotten everything. But talk it out.
Oh boy.
D philosophy.
Science could be 0. So now it would be A.
What's the limit of any number, any constant? Itself. You don't have to plug in. Some of you got confused. It's okay. Just get confused today and get it tomorrow. The limit of any constant is itself. Did you guys plug into this? What did you get? 0 over 0. Keep going. But how? It's an absolute value. Worst comes to worst. Come from one side and the other. What's on the below side or the left side of -4?
3.
Careful. The left side is more negative. Negative numbers are weird. They're the same thing, except he's going to be a negative, he's going to be a positive. Uh-oh. That's -1. Plugging in from the other side, -3.9 plus 4 over -3.9 plus 4. Top is always a positive, bottom is a positive. Rut-row. Do those agree? This is tape. It'll be online if you want to see it. Doesn't agree? The limit does not exist. Number 3. Oh, it's a special one. It's B. X is not approaching 0. What is X approaching? Oh, no. That is so mean. What's sine of pi? What's 0 over pi?
I've done nothing wrong.
That's why everyone is laughing. Does that make sense, though? You weren't approaching 0. You're approaching pi. Ready, set, a few more. Go. Go. Oh, you guys didn't ask about the homework question I was getting ready for. The e to the negative. Number 7 is very similar to one that the class got wrong 2 years ago. If you don't know 7, skip it. We'll talk about it in a second. Go look at 8. If you don't know 7, skip it. Go look at 8. You should know him better. No 7, skip it. Look at 8.
What I'm saying, I'd like to say don't like 8 always. But there's a point right there.
Does the limit as x approach 2 exist, and is it 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's a hole.
Still exists.
But they're meeting. Where are they meeting at? 1. Just the diner's burned down and he's somewhere else. But that's okay, the limit still exists. They're approaching the same position, the same height as x approaches 2, 1. Does the limit as x approach 2, which is 1, equal the y value at 2? No. And the third one is dumb. It should have been 2, but they wrote 3, so whatever. Look at 3. Is it continuous at 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine at 3. It's really bad at 2, but it's fine at 3. So therefore, now is it continuous at 2?
Yeah.
Not continuous at 2, but the limit exists. They go in the same position, but it's not the point. Number 7. How do you find a horizontal asymptote? You go to infinity and you go to negative infinity. If you go to infinity, we'll just say of y to save time. If you go to infinity, we could look at it as 3 plus 4 to the infinity all over 1 minus 4 to the infinity. Who's bigger, 3 and 1 or 4 to the infinity and 4 to the infinity? 4 to the infinity. So who wins? These guys. What's the ratio of their leading coefficients in front of 4 to the x? -1. You're right. But what if you plug in negative infinity, which is really like negative infinity? That's a negative power. And a negative power puts it down below. Puts it down below. Our brains are bad at negative powers. Write it like it should be. Uh-oh. Who wins in these little pieces, top or bottom? If the bottom wins, where are these guys going? These are going to 0. Who wins? Oh my goodness. There are 2 of them. My dad has a corny joke with that, but we don't have time. There are 2.
Did you tell us?
This is like 2 years ago. The one that the majority of the class missed at the end of the year. So don't worry. He's hard. You guys, no faith. We still have like a minute and a half. What's wrong with you?
Oh, let's go.
We got it.
Alright, let's do it.
Let's work them together, though. Let's work them together. Okay, what are you guys trying? The first thing you should always try. Plug it in, and what do you get?
0, 0.
If it's a long answer and I'm checking your work, I better see work. Oh no, how do you keep going?
Conjugate.
Multiply by the conjugate. Rewrite your limit. Uh-oh, write all your work. What is the conjugate? Use the square rooting one, right? With parentheses all over. Long story short, you end up with x minus 1 down here and x minus 1 up here. Who can cancel? Ooh, he does. Plug it in. Root 1 plus 1 is? Last but not least, we have 10 seconds and we can do it. Who wins? Top wins. Check the sign. Infinity cubed over. Wait. Infinity squared plus 4. Top wins. It's infinity. Positive or negative? Positive.
Oh wow, that was.
Go play with that review. These are AP-ish questions. It's saved in the video online and in the notes if you want them. I'll be here after school. If you want to come in early for lunch, maybe you can ask me a couple questions. At 3, not at 2. I thought the question should have been at 2, but they technically said 3. And at 3, there's no problem. At 2, not continuous at all.
Oh, there.
I thought it was dumb. They should have said. Someone forgot which one. Oh, the book? Thank you. Carly, go ahead.
Yeah, but
Is a square root or absolute value?
It's not the horizontal.
HA, you only go one direction, but everything else 2 directions. You're right.
HA is just for one direction.
For
And
official.
I don't want it to.
here after school. I have a lot of questions. Bye,
Okay.
Misty.
Bye, kids.
No.
Oh, thank you. Davis, bye with you.
Our stars are gone, Warren. What? Our stars.